This is a deer story. You remember back in the day when the only visualization you had of somebody taking a deer was either you took it yourself or you were with a friend, or you heard the deer story and you imagined what it was like. So yesterday, opening day Kentucky deer season, I harvested, I don't know what he measured, I don't know what he weighed, but he was a brute. 11-point velvet brute. I was blessed to get him, especially after a tough season last year where I didn't even fill a tag. So we did a lot of off-season work to change some things up, change our tactics, and man, did it pay off. So yesterday was opening day. I decided not to go in the morning. Did the same thing last year. I mean, based upon what I can tell is if I try to go in the morning, I'm going to blow them out because they're there all freaking night. So we decided to go in the afternoon. We decided, my wife and I, Jennifer, we went in. We left the house about 2:30. Got to the property somewhere a little after 3. Took our time getting ready, gearing up, spraying up. And then we took the just shy of half-a-mile walk into the back of the farm. It was about 72 degrees and partly cloudy. Sun starting to come out with the clouds clearing. So it started to warm up a little bit more. It had been cooler in the day. I think it was down in the 50s. So it was about 25 acres, maybe a little bit more of soybeans. We marched through it up and down hills, like I said, almost half a mile, until we get to a little pocket down by thousands of acres of timber. Our property line is not within thousands of acres. It's just a few acres in the timber. So we set outside of the property lines, and I've got a little, roughly half an acre clover plot down there too, that has tall weeds surrounding it as a transition for them to kind of make ease of coming out of the woods and coming out a little bit more into the middle of that clover plot. Had a food block and it had a salt mineral site there. It's been there for 3 years, and threw some corn down as usual. Been throwing it down since the beginning of August. We got a little tower blind, like a quad stand, I guess is what it's called. It's about 14, 15 feet high. Got 2 seats in it and a platform. And we ended up getting one of the Tide-Wee, more durable ones, the thicker material Tide-Wee see-through blinds, and putting on top of it and zip tying it together, and kind of made ourselves like a little shooting blind. So we sat there, about 30 yards off the center of the clover plot, across the other end of the trees where the deer come out. We'd seen some early day activity coming in anywhere between like 2 and 6, but normally it was between 7 and 8:15 when we started to see deer movement come in back there during the evening. So we sat for a while. We sat for a long while without seeing anything. And the sun, it was in our face. I mean, unfortunately, we had to set up with the west in our face. The wind was in our favor that day, so we were definitely in a good position either way. And we sat there, and it was right a little after 7. A little 4-prong, 6-point buck came walking in. He piddled around for a while, and then a smaller, looked like a 2-year-old doe who had just dropped a fawn not too long ago, and the fawn came with her. They piddled around for a little bit and then kind of took off. And the spike, he started looking behind us. Like he went to the left of us and started looking behind us and blowing. And I was like, well, that's abnormal. I don't really know him to blow at other deer. Seems a little aggressive for this early in the season if it's another buck. So we couldn't tell what it was. We couldn't swing around without making too much action. So we just let it be. He piddled out in the soybeans to the left of us for a while. And then he actually started to come back in right around 7:30. And then another buck started walking in. He's a 9-point. He's kind of shy, not too tall on the left side, pretty tall on the right side, and then a double tine on the right side. We call him Double Bubble. So he came in, and he presented a shot. So I drew back on my bow, which I just got for Christmas last year. Got one of the Bear Adapt 2s. I love that thing. It's light, single cam, easy to draw, 60 pounds. I don't know. I love it. Anyway, so he moves real quick. So I hold it full draw for quite a while, as long as I possibly could. And another doe walked in, so I just folded the bow back up and said, no, I'm not getting a shot. I can't hold this thing forever. And then lo and behold, the bruiser walks in, which I think is a 10 point, but I mean, he's a monster, a big, huge body, lots of meat on him, and nice, presentable, tall, very thick rack. Just a good deer that anybody would probably want to shoot who's a hunter. And so I watched them piddle around for about 10 minutes, not presenting a shot to me at all. And so finally, another small buck walked in, and then 2 doe walked in. And I was like, oh God, it's getting crowded in here. My heart was starting to race. And I'm like hoping one of these 2 doe decide that they're going to kind of bump this buck to where he can present me with a shot. At this point, after tag soup last year, I'm shooting either one of the bucks or the does. The first one that presents a shot is getting an arrow. And then my wife tells me, she's like, there's 3 more bucks coming in from the right. I never did get to see them. From my angle, I couldn't see them, but they were coming in from the right. And I'm like, this is getting ready to be a deer parade. Right around that time, I saw the big bruiser take a step to my right, his left, and almost he quartered at me. So I drew back and I held it at full draw for a little bit. And he just kind of started taking single steps as he was eating clover about 22 yards from me. And when he presented me a clear, ethical shot, boom, I sent it. Jennifer, she was shaking. She's like, I'm shaking, and I'm not even the one hunting. It was very intense, and I can't explain. It seemed like the world slowed down through this whole process, but it was in reality, after looking at the trail cameras, it was only a 20-minute progression, but it seemed so much longer. It was a fantastic hunt. Now, as soon as I shot him, I noticed, bow hunters, I've had to hunt with a crossbow pretty much for the past 7 years, most years with the crossbow because of my elbow. Year before last, I felt pretty good. I shot with a bow, and I ended up taking a small velvet buck, my first velvet ever. And then last year, my elbow was bothering me again. I had to go back to crossbow, obviously with a doctor's exemption. And yes, I had proof. Fish and Wildlife came to my house and checked. So anyway, my elbow was feeling good this year, and I got the bow for Christmas last year. So I said, what the heck? I've taken a lot of practice shots, came out and took my single shot, so let's go for it. I felt confident at 30 yards, no more. Very confident at 30 yards. So anywhere between 20 and 30 yards, I was going to take a shot at a deer. And any of you archers know it's different than a crossbow, or definitely different than a gun. But when you're shooting with a compound bow, it's like time slows down as soon as the release is made, right? Like you can almost watch the arrow in slow-mo fly through the air and penetrate the deer. And that's exactly what happened to me. I mean, it was just boom. That's what it felt like to me, when in reality it was more like boom. But then when he took off running, I saw I hit him good, perfect, right behind the shoulder, square of the body, double lung. But when he took off running, I noticed there was quite a bit of arrow sticking out at him. And I knew that I must have caught him a little off angle and probably hit the other shoulder. No big deal, I guess, as long as I hit both lungs. So I was kind of nervous. So we waited about 10 minutes to get down and go look at the shot site. Blood everywhere, bubble blood everywhere. I'm still nervous though about that arrow sticking out of him. About 10 more yards, we find the arrow broken, about a quarter of it broken off, broadhead gone, full of blood, bubble blood all over the arrow. So we start tracking the blood a little bit more, find more and more blood, and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure this deer is dead. So let's keep pushing, And we got about 15 more yards, and Jennifer goes, I think I see him. It's a white belly, could be a rock. And I was like, just follow the blood trail. So I continue to follow the blood trail. And of course, my lovely independent, who I love so much, wife was like, nah, I'm going to just follow my instincts and go see if this is it. And she got about 10 more yards to it. He went about 65 yards. And she goes, baby, it's him. And I was like, is he dead? She goes, yeah, I think so. Which I had my pistol on me and everything, and another arrow if I had to euthanize and take care of him. So I walked up on him. Yeah, he was expired, and I'll be honest, I cried. I did. It is the biggest deer I've ever taken. The second biggest deer I've ever seen with my own eyes, including Logan's deer that he shot. That's the biggest one I've ever seen with my own eyes. This one was almost as big as him, and I did. I thought of my dad and not getting a deer at all last year, so it was definitely an emotional moment. It was phenomenal, and I savored that moment for quite some time. Well, it seemed like some time. It was probably only 2 or 3 minutes, but it seemed like forever. And we immediately, Jennifer went and started getting the four-wheeler from the front, and so we could kind of drag him out, because there's no way I'm dragging him out by hand half a mile. I drug him about 30 yards out of the timber back into the field. That was a bear. Took him up a little bit further out of the hunting area, field dressed him. We have a little 115cc four-wheeler, okay? It's nothing special. I just needed something to drag deer and get corn back there that didn't cost me $5,000. So I bought one of those little Chinese four-wheelers off of Marketplace for like $400, and it's worked until now. That thing must have weighed 350 pounds. That four-wheeler, by the time we got to the front of the farm, we had to help push I was not on the four-wheeler. She was not on the four-wheeler. We were walking the four-wheeler as it drugged the deer, and we were helping to push the four-wheeler. That thing was smoking literally smoking by the time we got it to the front of the farm. That thing was a knocking, pistons hitting the top of the head. So now we got it's done for. But it was funny. And I mean, we were dying. We had already hurt our backs earlier this week, both of us doing some work around the house and at the farm and stuff. And we were already kind of twinged with our sciatic and lower back, but now we are down and out. We had to sleep on the couch last night, had to put heating pads and icy hot and ibuprofen, and I could barely move this morning, and I've just basically had to rest. But today we're going to enjoy the spoils now that we've had some time to rest and kind of recoup. Even though I can still barely walk. I don't know what I'm going to do when I go to the bathroom. But we're going to cook this stuff up. I've already started processing some of it. We got the back straps cut up for our two famous recipes we always do. Of course, one's Dad's famous recipe, the Feaster's famous recipe for deep fried venison backstrap. Cut up the roasts, prepping them. I'm going to slice some of them up for some jerky that we're going to do tomorrow. And then save the other ones for some like sous vide sliced meat. And then we're going to ground a bunch for like breakfast sausage and stuff. So got him all deboned. I got one of those little portable, it's not portable, I guess. It's heavy duty. Sucker is heavy. But you put it in the hitch of the back of your truck, and that's your gambrel. It's got a little crane on it. So basically we drug him to the front of the farm, and I put that into the truck, and I completely deboned him and de-antlered him, skinned him, deboned him, and antlered him, and bagged the meat and put it in a cooler right there at the farm, tossed his carcass over in the boneyard, and drove home and didn't do nothing but crash and cry because we were in so much pain. It was phenomenal. I just had to share the story with you. I keep playing it over and over in my head, and it's, some of y'all know, a lot of y'all know. What a freaking hunt. Let's go for 2025. And you know what? I still got deer all over the camera after all that. I gotta let my back heal. Then we'll go thump a couple more, put some meat in the freezer. Thank you all. Thanks to everybody who congratulated me and said good things about the deer. I appreciate it. I'm blessed and lucky this year, no doubt. Not that hard work didn't play, but you can't control these deer. It's God's creature, right? So blessed. Thank you all.